My name's Greg Tevis. I'm in charge of technology strategy for the Tivoli storage portfolio, basically IBM's storage software portfolio. I've been with IBM 30 years, all of it in storage, hardware, and software development. So I've been with all the storage evolutions through the years. Been with TSM since 1991, and I also was part of the architecture group, one of the TSM architects, as well as for the other products, SVC and Tivoli Storage Productivity Center, our new virtual storage center that I'll talk about. But very happy to be with you. What we'll be going over today is not just a TSM update, but sort of give you an overview of the whole portfolio. I'm going to continue where Peter left off in the last chart, the second last chart he had. I'll sort of continue from that. We'll talk about that. But basically, I'm going to talk about our overall strategy at a high level for storage software in IBM and Tivoli. Then talk about what we're doing to deliver our solutions as cloud services. Cloud is a delivery model of great interest in a lot of different situations. So I'll talk about how you can use TSM as well as our virtual storage center capabilities for delivering cloud solutions. Then I'll give a quick overview of the TSM family, including some near-term roadmaps. Okay, so I'll tell you where we're heading in the next couple, in the next release, actually. Okay, so I want to start out about what our business is. Tivoli Storage, IBM Storage Software. What our business is about helping you run your operations more effectively. And really, if you step back, all businesses need data. They need to protect data, and you need storage to someplace to put that data. And so everyone's got this challenge of a storage and data management budget. And what we're trying to do is, some of that budget is for revenue-producing data. These are your applications, the things that run your business, your primary data stores, applications, file systems, databases, et cetera. And then you have some other storage, and what we want to do with our portfolio is we give you the ability to optimize this and minimize this storage and investment you have to make in primary storage to run your business. And how we do that? Through things like storage virtualization, so you can get better utilization of your storage resources, more effective utilization and leveraging of your storage resources across your business. Also through things like our automated tiering, so we optimize the storage that you buy. We help you to make the best use of it as easily as possible. And with our automatic tiering, our easy tiering in our StoreWise V7000 and SAN volume controller, it's actually, you don't even know about it, and it's doing doing a job for you to get the best price and performance out of your storage. And then things like compression. Our StoreWise, you heard our StoreWise V7000 as well as our SAN volume controller, our virtual storage center solutions have compression, real-time compression for primary storage built in. This can lower your cost, your overall cost of your storage from, at least 50%, and sometimes as much as, 4 times cheaper than by compressing the real-time storage. Okay, so part of our business is optimizing your storage and your storage infrastructure. The other part of our business is around the cost that you pay, the other part of your storage budget, which is protecting your data, all the operations around protection of data and recovery of data. This is extra work. It takes a lot, it gets a lot of priority, and it's probably a lot of operational headaches around data protection and recovery, making sure you're prepared. But really, this isn't part of your business. You don't want to do this, really. Some of you might. I don't know if you've been doing it a long time. But really, your business doesn't want to do this. And so really, you want to minimize this. And we want to shrink this part, how much money you spend on data protection and data protection infrastructure and data protection operations through modernizing all the techniques. And that's what we're doing across our TSM family. Okay, so we try to minimize the amount of storage and budget that you pay for data protection, and so you can spend more of your budget on your business, your primary storage, and how that supports your business. But data's still growing, and so you still have to have all kinds of techniques and optimizations across the board to help you make the most out of your budget. Okay, well, how do we help you? Tivoli Storage offers really 2 parts of our portfolio. In the past, we talked about TSM and Tivoli Storage Productivity Center and SAN Volume Controller and StoreWise V7000. We have a number of products. We still have those products and technologies, but we're delivering them more effectively. And what we've done is we've simplified our portfolio into really two parts. One part is what I said before, and this is, you saw this chart, Peter showed a chart like this. One part of our portfolio is delivering an optimized, virtualized, and automated storage infrastructure, okay? A dynamic storage infrastructure. Doesn't matter what storage, from what vendor you have here, with our virtual storage center, our technology, our virtualization technology, you can put, you know, an arm of virtualization over whatever storage you have and get to the next level of storage computing. Okay, the next generation, if you will. I think on the last chart I said, part of our strategy is really helping you evolve, helping your data protection and storage operations be more efficient. And Virtual Storage Center is a perfect way to do that. Okay, so that's the first part of our portfolio, is we deliver a virtualized, optimized, and automated and managed virtual or storage infrastructure. The second part is we protect your entire information infrastructure. All your data, wherever it is, in databases and in email applications and file systems, whether it's out in remote offices, on laptops, in the data center, we help you protect that. And of course, this is the TSM portfolio. So our portfolio is really about always-on data protection and always-on storage infrastructure. Okay? And by delivering these solutions, we're helping customers. A lot of customers really just don't know how to move forward. You got all kinds of challenges. You got data growth taking most of your attention. But how do you move what you have, the hardware and software and operations you have, how do you move forward with that? And people struggle with that. Small companies struggle with that. Large companies struggle with it. Well, with our solutions, we can help you move that way. Okay? With our unified recovery solutions and our virtual storage center, we can help you very easily, where you're at, evolve to the next level of storage operations and data protection operations. One thing that helps along the way is we have a partner called Butterfly out of the UK, and they have a solution or set of solutions that are well-tiered or well-geared towards our portfolio. In particular, they provide operational analytics for what? For those two parts of our portfolio plus archive. The two parts of our portfolio are, you know, a primary storage infrastructure or the storage infrastructure in total, and then the data protection operations, also including archive. Okay, so these are really, they do deep analytics on whatever you have, whatever products you have out there, non-IBM storage, if you have HP Data Protector or Semantic Net Backup or an old release of TSM, you can do analytics with Butterfly, and then it'll deliver a business case, true analytics, true report of your environment, best practices, recommendations, and a recommended target environment. And then they can actually help you move to that environment. So they not only provide you a business case, but they actually have the software to actually move from a non-IBM storage environment to a IBM storage virtualized environment, from a non-TSM environment to a TSM environment. And they actually can move the data between those environments.
May I ask something?
Yes, sure.
Is this a product or a service?
The question is it a product or a service? It's really a service. There's some technology and products, if you will, under it, but it's really a service. So right now, the analytics is a service. There's a separate service for the backup analytics and for the storage analytics. And then there's a separate service that's a per terabyte charge for the data, actual data movement. And you can get these through IBM business any business partners, or you can get this through your IBM or Tivoli reps. Okay, so just one last statement here was from Gartner about our virtualization of the complete infrastructure, virtualizing data protection, virtualizing the storage infrastructure. Basically, their comment is you can really, as you try to move forward in a virtualized server environment, typically people are moving to VMware or Hyper-V or some combination, you really should be also virtualizing your storage infrastructure and also your data protection operations, so simplifying them as much as possible through virtualization techniques. And that's exactly what we bring in our portfolio. Okay, I'm going to go through this really quickly, but I wanted to give you a view. I'm going to start stepping down into the strategies for our portfolio. And at a high level, these are the strategies that we're driving across our products, and we've been focused on these things for a number of years. Every release of TSM, every release of of our Tivoli Storage Productivity Center, every release of SAN Volume Controller, they all focus on these kind of things. Dramatic improvements in time to value and ease of use, and I'll show you a number of examples in that. The user interfaces that we've had in the past in our products have not always been that great, as Peter referred to in the earlier presentation. This has been a major focus. We've made major improvements here, and I'll talk about those pretty quickly. Improving service levels, so making sure you have the technologies to be able to recover your applications in the required time. Maybe that's seconds, and back them up in very short windows, very large amounts of data. That might be, again, seconds. You might have only a few seconds to back up, many terabytes of data of a database. We give you the tools to be able to, and technologies to be able to improve your service levels. Extreme scalability and performance. This is why we introduced TSM 6.1 based on DB2, was for extreme scalability, and you'll see that come up again and again. And we have a lot of predictive analytics that go into our products, and we're starting to deliver these as solutions within our products. Now, our virtual storage center is a great example of this. We have a lot of capability in there where we take analytics, we monitor what's going on, and analyze what's happening based on your configurations against real performance activity, and then automatically, with Easy Tier, we automatically move blocks to take advantage of SSD storage. We can also make recommendations on where to move volumes, and we'll continue to automate and do those analytics that we deliver. Reducing costs, data reduction across the board is a major focus for us. This comes through compression solutions, like our StoreWise that we just introduced a while back ago. Our deduplication, which is across the TSM portfolio. We also have, for very large enterprise deduplication, we have the best in the industry, protect tier deduplication, and a lot of optimization that I've already talked about. And then we're going to deliver our technologies through different delivery methods, like cloud, okay? And I'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about cloud. A lot of companies are in the process of virtualization. The focus really typically is on server virtualization, but as I said, you should also be thinking about storage virtualization, okay? And so a lot of companies are moving and evolving towards virtualizing their operations, both server and storage. But starting to think, how can I continue to improve? And this word cloud comes up, which has many meanings, and some of those meanings are sort of cloudy, right? Sort of fuzzy. One of the definitions of cloud includes some characteristics like being able to have service catalogs. What that means is, say for backup, you define a service and you make it available to your customers. Okay, so that service might be database backup with a certain retention period, or it might be use hardware snaps against this database, this 5 or 10, 20 terabyte database. I want to use hardware snaps. That might be the service level or the service item that's in a service catalog. So part of cloud is defining services. Does that sound like Tivoli? We've been talking about service delivery for years, right? It's all on the same evolutionary path of virtualization, controlling, service level management. Okay, so you have services, you define those services, you define and create service catalogs. Then you have a self-service interface. Typically this is through some web portal, right? So you have some way for your consumers to come in and say, I want this level of service. And you look through what's available. You say, I got my database, I got my email application, what do I want to protect? Or maybe you just need raw storage. Maybe you're creating a new virtual machine for testing or development. You need storage with that. And so you just go to a service catalog and you say, here are my options. I need block level storage with this amount of capability and these kind of mirroring or whatever characteristics. That's a service in a service catalog. And so typically cloud means a service catalog, a self-service, and then consumption-based metering. So based on whatever you use, that's what you pay for. That makes sense? So instead of saying, I want to back up something, I'm going to go and buy a TSM server, a TSM license, I just go somewhere that says, I've got this server to back up, I'm going to pay $1 a terabyte per month or something to back up my Exchange or something. Make sense? So that sort of makes it a cloud delivery model. Okay, so what's our strategy on cloud? Go back to our portfolio. It's about a dynamic, virtualized, optimized storage infrastructure, no matter whose storage is underneath there. And then it's about delivering data protection and business continuity and recovery capabilities of the TSM family. Now, what we're missing here to make it our solutions delivered through a cloud model is what we're adding. So we're adding cloud instrumentation. What do I mean by that? The things we just talked about. So a cloud portal. So we're in the process of delivering cloud portals for both our storage infrastructure as well as for data protection. So for the storage infrastructure, we're building a native cloud portal here for self-servicing. And today with TSM, we have a partner, in particular FrontSafe out of Denmark, has a cloud portal based on TSM where you basically just install the portal and then you can deliver your TSM infrastructures, your TSM servers here, outward as a backup cloud service. A private one within a company or external, a public backup cloud, okay? This cloud offering initially for the foreseeable future, the next year or two, is going to only be for private clouds. So what I mean by private clouds, if you haven't heard that term, is so a cloud model. What's that mean? Service catalog, self-service, usage-based charging. But don't do that publicly, so anyone can come on, any teenager or whoever can come on and use that. You just do it within your own private enterprise. That's what a private cloud is. So it has cloud characteristics, but you do it just within the walls of your secure infrastructure and intranet. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're taking our technologies, which are fantastic for virtual server environments and for cloud environments, and we're putting the needed instrumentation we need on top of that. Okay? In addition to that, so that's part of our cloud strategy. In addition to that, we're working with the other cloud providers and having them use our technologies. Now, what do I mean by this? Typically, when you say cloud computing, a lot of times you're referring to what's called the compute cloud, the stuff that runs up on the servers. So that's infrastructure as a server or platform as a service. That could be the provisioning of a VMware image. Okay, it might be platform or application as a service. So it could be a DB2 or a WebSphere application that's provisioned. Okay, so all of that's up on this compute cloud. All of those things need storage, somewhere to store data. All of those things, except in rare cases, also need to protect that data that they create. Even if it's a analytics type of thing or a dev and test, typically you want to save the results. Okay? So they all those compute cloud models need storage and they need data protection. And oh, by the way, Tivoli storage has the best of virtual storage technology in the industry and the best data protection technology in the industry. We really do. And analysts tell us that as well. What we're missing, we have great technologies. What we're missing is we've had poor user interfaces here, and pricing's always an issue too, right? So except for you guys, you're not interested. As long as it's free, pricing's not an issue, right? That's usually the customer's view. Okay. Well, so what we're doing is we're improving in those areas as well, and also delivering through new models like cloud. Okay, so one more time. Our storage virtualization and data protection, they're critical to all cloud environments and all virtual server environments. And we have great technologies and solutions in this area. Okay, real fast, I won't spend too much time on this, but to overview our cloud strategy, we introduced a cloud packaging and pricing program with our TSM suite for unified recovery, and actually Peter referred to that. We introduced this last year. Why? To make it easier for you to consume and pay on a per usage basis. Okay, so I know you love, those of you that have TSM for a while, I know you love PVUs pricing, right? Everybody? No hands. One hand likes it, okay. But sometimes, sometimes this new pricing per capacity doesn't make sense, but in most cases it does. But basically it's an easier way to get access to all of our technologies and use it on a per usage basis. Okay, so that's one part of our strategy is cloud packaging and pricing. We also have TSM as the backup and recovery cloud, and then TSM to the cloud, and I'll talk about those two. And then as I just mentioned, TSM as a data protection service for compute clouds. We just talked about that. Let me talk about these two, as the TSM as the cloud and TSM to the cloud, in just a little more detail. Okay, so TSM as the backup cloud. What this is that front safe model that I talked about. So you might have a company or a business partner might have a TSM infrastructure of 1, 2, 10, 100 TSM servers, and they have capacity to service their customers either internal, which would be a private backup cloud, or actually external, which would be a public backup cloud. You introduce a front safe cloud, the web portal that layers on top of TSM, and then the customer has a self-service catalog. Basically, you just register your TSM servers into the portal, and then TSM users, new ones, a new VMware user or new someone out with a new PC in their home says, I want to go to a public backup cloud. They can come into this portal, get backup services, select a backup service out of the service catalog, and then start backing up to TSM. And oh, by the way, all the charges and whatnot are taken care of through the portal as well. Okay, and so this can be delivered directly as a public backup cloud or privately within an enterprise. And FrontSafe takes care of all the billing and all of that. Okay, so it makes a true backup cloud literally on top of your existing TSM infrastructure. We have a lot of companies around the world doing this today. They typically are up in less than a day. You add the portal in, connect the TSM servers, put their own icons in so it looks like your backup service. Your customers never even hardly see TSM. Simplifies the abilities of TSM, and yet exploits TSM on the back end. Okay, TSM to the cloud. What do I mean by that? Here's where in your company you might have typically a TSM server or servers servicing your remote offices or data center clients. And so this is typical TSM operations. You might today go off-site with tape or some other mechanism. Well, one of the things being provided by a lot of partners is different TSM cloud services. So one of them might be using the new node replication we'll talk about in a moment, and having a cloud disaster recovery cloud service for that. Another option that you can do today is go to a public cloud. So some customers might want to have a cloud storage pool in TSM. So you go from disk and you say, hey, I want to stick it out somewhere for a long period of time, cheap price. And you can connect to a public storage cloud. Today you need to do that through partners like Riverbed, Whitewater, or Sotera. So this is a hardware or a virtual appliance that you'd also have to buy. In the future, we may move that technology directly into a native device driver within TSM, but that's not on the roadmap yet. Make sense? So we call this TSM to the cloud. So you can exploit cloud in this way with TSM in a number of ways for disaster recovery, et cetera. Okay. Let's go through the Tivoli storage portfolio. I'll spend more of the time on TSM, but also give you a quick introduction to the other products and an update on the other products as well. Real fast, many of you are familiar with TSM. Some of you might be a little less familiar, but let me just make sure you understand some of the technologies we have within this unified recovery part of our portfolio. So I'll go through this pretty quickly, but basically we have TSM Fastback for workstations. It's a very lightweight, easy to use client for TSM that works on laptops, basically. Okay, so it's for laptops, remote offices. Installs in 30 seconds or something. You don't have to do really any configuration. If you want, you can do some special configuration. It can back up to local disk, and it typically will back up to local disk. You can have it back up to USB drives. You can have it back up to a file server, a LAN server. You can have it back up, also it doesn't show yet except on the last click, but this can also be backed up directly into a TSM server wherever it pops up here. Okay, so a lot of options here. Doesn't even need TSM though. It's a standalone product. Now listen to this. So this product, I don't know what it runs today. A couple years ago, it was like $39. That doesn't sound like IBM, right? That's not an IBM price, is it? $39. We might have set an IBM record. I don't know. I think it's actually cheaper than that now because you can get a big bundle these for cheap. Okay, so different type of IBM, right? Very lightweight. Again, you don't need TSM, don't need anything. You just need a file server, maybe, or even a USB drive. In fact, this is being shipped with some USB vendors that manufacture USB drives ship with this product on it. Okay, so that's Fastback for workstations, if you weren't aware of it. We also have something called Just Fastback. Different technology. It's really for servers and very, very good for protecting, small remote offices in particular. This, again, can also be standalone. It's for Windows and Linux environments. Very good technology for protecting, SQL, Exchange, has all the block level incremental forever capabilities, instant restore capabilities, file level recovery from image backup, all kinds of capability, very powerful. Again, it also can go back into TSM that we'll show in a moment. Then we have the FlashCopy Manager, okay? So this is hardware snapshotting. Fastback, I didn't mention, is software snapshotting, block level, incremental, continuous data protection at a software snap with a software snap technology. You can also exploit hardware snapshotting if you have hardware capability, storage hardware capability that does snapshotting, okay? And that's with our FlashCopy Manager. Okay, all of that can come back into a TSM server. So FlashCopy Manager, all three of those, Fastback for workstations, Fastbacks for servers, and FlashCopy Manager can all stand on their own without TSM. But they all fit back into TSM if you have that TSM in your environment. Okay, I'll fly through this pretty quick, but over the last couple of years, some of you, how many of you are at TSM 6 level? Some 6 level. Okay, pretty good number. Let me just, for those of you that might be on older releases or not less familiar with TSM, let me fly through some of the improvements we made in the last couple years. We've actually been out for 3.5 years with TSM 6. Okay, we brought out extreme scalability with the DB2 database. We also introduced server-side deduplication in 6.1. 6.2, we brought in client-side deduplication, deep integration with Fastback, so Fastback can dedupe as a client into the TSM server. Automatic deployment of clients, and then we started bringing in our capability for VMware. We'll talk about that. And then in 2011, we had a couple major releases, especially around our VMware support. So we introduced TSM for virtual environments, and I'll be talking about that in the next session in just a few moments. So a lot of capability we brought in there. And then we introduced some new disaster recovery capability in last year's release, including node replication, so you can have servers, TSM servers communicating with each other, sharing data. And also had a lot of enhancements to FlashCopy Manager. Okay, the node replication, let me talk about this for a moment. Node replication is, you can have a TSM server, and you do your normal backups from invisible clients that aren't shown here. So they're backing up the TSM as normal. And typically you'd take backups to tape and take them off-site, database backups to tape, take them off-site. There's some other ways you can do that electronically. But here it gives you the ability to copy nodes, basically replicate nodes to another, what could be considered a disaster recovery TSM server. These nodes are replicated as individuals. You can do them on schedules individually, together, in groups, whatever. It's incremental in nature, so if you've backed up a node A, and then you back them up, replicate again tomorrow, only the changes to that node are replicated. And also it's deduplicated, so if any block is seen already by this server over here, it's not sent. What that means is you get deduplication across, if you have many TSM servers going into this DR server, you get deduplication across all those TSM servers and across all the clients within those TSM servers. So it's, really expand out your global deduplication capabilities with TSM. And so it's very, very efficient, and it basically allows you to have a hot standby on the remote site. Before it was a cold standby where you had to recover the TSM database and storage pools, right? Now you can do hot standby and this guy can be up and ready to go. This server can be servicing other clients. So there could be domain B clients being backed up here, domain A clients being backed up here, domain A clients being replicated here, and domain B clients being replicated here. Make sense? A little confusing, but very, very, very robust. Gives you a lot of options now on disaster recovery and modernizing your disaster recovery operations. Okay, I mentioned extreme scalability. This way down here, according to Gartner, TSM 5.5 was the largest scaling backup product in the industry a couple years ago. Okay, nothing came close. Symantec, nothing. The other vendors are probably still around, probably somewhere between here and here in terms of scalability. TSM, we've doubled the scalability in each of the last 3 years. Today, we've in TSM 6.3, we've tested up to 4 billion objects in TSM database, up to 4 terabyte TSM databases. Okay, so 4 billion objects and about 4 terabytes is what we've tested to. That's not an architectural limit. You'll probably see that continue to increase. We have in TSM family very, very good support for virtual environments. We haven't always been able to say that. A year and a half ago, it was okay. We were a little late to the market. We have very good support for virtual environment. This has been a very big focus of ours. We have very efficient backups. We use some of that fastback technology. And you can also use FlashCopy Manager hardware protection for protecting your virtual environment as well if you want to use hardware snaps. But basically, very efficient backups, block level, incremental, very, very robust recovery. You can recover a whole virtual machine. You can recover a volume. You can recover individual files or objects, and we'll go into that in the next presentation. We also were able to prove backup of 1,000 virtual machines in 34 minutes, which I haven't heard anybody do better than that in the industry. And that was with a particular configuration around FlashCopy Manager. We presented that particular presentation at VMworld a couple weeks ago. Very well received. Okay, we also do proxy backups, so you don't have to have the guest. I'll get into more details in the next session on this. Okay, FlashCopy Manager, just to introduce again what it is. Basically allows you, it's a TSM component, if you will, even though it stands alone, lets you protect application data by taking snapshots. And they're basically almost instantaneous, and they use the hardware copy services under the covers. It supports all IBM devices, disk devices, through SVC and StoreWise. It can also support other vendors' hardware. Also on Windows environment, you can support other hardware because it also supports the volume shadow services, so you get some synchronization with the applications. You'll see in a moment that we're introducing NetApp support native in the next couple months. Now, let's talk about TSM and our priorities on TSM. Still okay with time? These are our major priorities for TSM in the last couple years and moving forward. User experience, this is a major focus, and I'm going to talk about something that's very significant we're bringing out here. Virtualization support, I mentioned this has been a big focus for us. It continues to be. We have great support for virtual environments today. VMware, Hyper-V, whatever's out there, we do about the best you can, and as good as anyone else. And so we're a leader, and we'll continue to be in the data protection for virtual environments. Disaster recovery. I talked about the node replication. We'll continue to enhance the capabilities of our disaster recovery solutions. And then something called global data management. These are all being worked on in releases now and in the near future. This one's probably a release or 2 out, but we're already making steps in this direction. The idea here is basically if you extend the capability of node replication, it's the idea of having more than one TSM server, say a collection. Let's not use the word cloud of TSM server, but a collection of TSM servers that work together and that know of each other's data. And you can back up into one and recover from another. Okay? That's where we're heading with our TSM architecture. That'll take a few years to get there, but we're on our way. And then I mentioned how we're delivering TSM as a cloud to the cloud and integrated with other cloud solutions. So that's another part of our strategy that's sort of going on the side. Okay, what's coming? And these are all things that you'll see by the end of the year. In the TSM family, we have a pretty significant release coming out. We introduce password management authentication through an external mechanism like LDAP or Active Directory. We've had customers asking for this since a lot of years. Yeah. Probably back in the last century, but we won't talk about that. So we're delivering on this. We have improved NetApp support. An example is today NetApp Filer is viewed as a physical node, and it's copied by a single TSM node protects a NetApp Filer. So if you have multiple vFilers defined on there, they're all going through the same TSM node. Now, I think it was ONTAP 8.11 from NetApp. They gave us the ability to recognize vFilers through an API, and so now you can have separate TSM nodes for separate vFilers, so it makes more sense logically to how you're using NetApp.
Is it
Yes, sir?
NDMP?
Yes, that's separate, but yes. Yep. Okay, we have a lot of improvements in our reporting. One of the problems we did have with our VMware support was we weren't showing all the information about individual virtual machines and what was being backed up and how much, and deduplication rates, et cetera. And so we have a lot of backup reporting improvements in the area of VMware. A major thing is we're introducing incremental forever. Right now, again, we'll talk a little bit more about this in the next session, but today you have to do an occasional full just for the VMware support, not for the rest of TSM, as you well know. We'll come back to that in the next session. We have new backup wizard. We have another one that's sort of significant is we're going to allow backup multiple VMs in parallel. Today there's sort of a single thread out of our proxy backup, and that's been improved tremendously, so you'll be able to scale even more. We have vCenter plugin already. I'll talk about that in the next session. And I think on the next chart, yeah, the next chart has the other. The FlashCopy Manager has two major enhancements coming. One is Metro support with Metro Mirror, Global Mirror. So today, FlashCopy Manager has to take copies. If it's making a copy to the TSM server, it takes it and it's copying it from production and volume. What we're going to be able to do is exploit global or Metro copies. So if you're doing the global or Metro mirroring, you'll be able to use FlashCopy Manager against the target device, not the source device. So should offload your production environment. The other thing is, I mentioned already, is we're going to introduce native support in FlashCopy Manager for NetApp. Okay, so FlashCopy Manager will support NetApp snapshots. Okay. Okay, let's move along here. This is something significant. This is a new UI we have for TSM. We introduced a new UI, I'll talk about in a second, for Tivoli Storage Productivity Center, which is part of our virtual storage center. We've also are introducing a new next generation GUI for TSM. It's going to be completely different than anything you've seen with TSM administration before. It's going to be more an operational and monitoring and reporting dashboard. Okay, so you'll be able to see at a glance with color coding whether your backups failed or any of your backups failed, and be able to drill in and immediately go and get more information. Information that seemed to be hidden somewhere in TSM will now be at your fingertips. Things in audit logs and activity logs, things will be available much more cleanly and with sort of a more dashboard type of feel, monitoring, color schemes, so you can very quickly see what's happening in your environment. Okay, so and then drill into more details. So we're going to have a couple phases of this. The first release will be early next year. We will have a proof of technology at the end of this year. If you are interested, you can contact me or an IBMer about getting access to that, early access. So we'll bring out phase 1 of this GUI in the first part of next year and phase 2 in the second half of next year. Let me talk about the virtual storage center that Peter talked about in the original, in the initial session. Let me start by what is a storage hypervisor. Server hypervisor, is really well understood. That's like VMware or Hyper-V up in the server environment. Well, our storage hypervisor is sort of the same thing down in the storage area. And best way to think of it is what VMware is to servers, virtual storage center is for storage. So no matter what hardware you have under there, it virtualizes across it. You can go and grab ask for resources. It doesn't matter where they're settled physically. You just have all the attributes logically. It's actually probably more robust in some ways than VMware, just because we've been doing storage virtualization for so long. Very powerful. So that's the idea behind our technology. We've had this out there, storage virtualization, for about a decade, right? The SAM volume controller, it's the best in the industry. And what we've done is, on top of that, we had the best storage virtualization in the industry. We had the best storage management in the industry with Tivoli Storage Productivity Center, and we have the best hardware snapshot capability with FlashCopy Manager, and we brought these all together. Okay, and you get all the benefits of virtualization similar to what you might see in value up on VMware. What is it exactly? It's IBM SAN volume controller, Tivoli Storage Productivity Center, and FlashCopy Manager. but we've combined those. They're already technically integrated, but we've combined them, and we're dropping the price on them with a bundle and delivering them as a new package, okay? And so this is a very powerful move by IBM, I think, and it's you know, on a per usage basis again. So that's what we mean by virtual storage center. We're using our old technologies in a new way. And again, one of the things we had that wasn't good is some of the interfaces on this stuff and the usability and the costs. And so we're trying to get rid of both those problems at once, improve the usability, lower the costs, and deliver them easier. Okay, so I think I went through some of these advantages of virtualization, but we have very, very good virtualization, best in the industry. One thing I should mention is that IBM's using this technology and has been for a couple years. And we have tremendous benefits. We're talking about managing today within IBM. This is our internal operations, data center operations. 24 petabytes of data are under our Tivoli Virtual Storage Center. And these are the kind of benefits they're getting. Provisioning time for storage went from months to days. 20% increase in storage virtualization and a 50% reduction in overall cost per terabyte. So that's real data from a very large customer. Okay, let me finish up with a couple touches on TPC. Again, this is the management capabilities, similar to vCenter, really, with VMware. This would be the management aspects of it. A lot of capability across your storage infrastructure. We support, with this technology, and again, this is part of Virtual Storage Center, all these servers, storage, network storage, replication technologies, a lot of capabilities we do against it, capacity, provisioning, performance management, et cetera. And then you can add all the analytics that come with the full virtual storage center. Okay, we have a lot of analytics that come up for your storage infrastructure. This capability, this management is top of we're #1 in the Magic Quadrant for storage resource management and SAN management. And so it's recognized by the industry vendor, analysts as the best out there. One thing I should mention finally is that we improved the GUI on this one. So we had a major improvement here, and this is similar to what we're doing on TSM. We've already done it on our storage management, our virtual storage center stuff. And so ease of use, I said, was a major focus for us. Again, you can see sort of, okay, here's my environment. I can go in and drill in my storage. I can drill in my servers, my VMware systems, my fabric, whatever. You know, I can go in and out, up and down, always have context where I'm at, jump around, and always you're getting, we had this capability, but it wasn't presented as effectively in previous releases of this. And you have color coding, so you can always see at a glance what's happening in your entire environment. Okay? So more that dashboard feel. We also introduced some tiered storage optimization, which is an improvement over in addition to easy tiering. We introduced some cloud APIs that are being taken advantage of, some advanced reporting, some more support for VMware environments. Okay, here's another snapshot of that capability. So this is at the storage infrastructure level. And again, this interface will be similar type of look and feel that what we're coming out with in TSM. Okay, this is an example of a performance graph out of there. Again, you can go into deep dive if you want, or just look at your overall operations. Here's another couple examples. Okay, just in closing, let me just mention this last one, which is you aware of our StoreWise V7000 as well as our SAN volume controller, which means also virtual storage center. We introduced this race compression, so it's random maximum compression for primary storage. Okay, so this is an easy way to get a payback on your storage. There's a return on investment on this is very, very quick. So basically lowers the cost, so you probably get twice as much storage, maybe 3 times, maybe even more in some cases. But I think IBM's actually even guaranteeing, I saw something on the IBM website that we're guaranteeing a 50% reduction in your storage, which is, I've never seen IBM do anything like that. But that's what we're banking on here, okay? And so you'll get this immediately. You just put it in and start saving money on your primary storage and or your backup storage. Yes, sir.
What's the expected latency?
No impact to performance.
Guaranteed.
It is guaranteed. Yeah, so I say you go out and look at it. I wish I had the link. Probably should have dropped it in here, but yeah, I was surprised to see it. But I knew the technology didn't impact the performance, but I'd never seen IBM sort of guarantee this kind of things. But I don't know if they guaranteed the latency, but they did guarantee the cost reduction. But no performance impact is the statements that are being made.